Hi everyone. So as we were going with the Terraform tutorial, correct? So till now, what we have covered all these 16 classes, like starting from the file creation, Terraform data output block, Terraform state file, conditional resource creation, VPC creation, your EC2 instance, that's your server creation, use cases of dynamic block, and the most important questions, which is always asked in your Terraform interview or the DevOps interview, that is day 9. What will happen if you delete the state file in the Terraform? So I have written down all the details or the code, correct? And within that particular code, there is all the things like is for the EC2 creation, what is the main.tf, what is provider.tf, the state file itself, correct? So for all these functions like lambda function, S3 event notification through lambda function. So whatever the requirement, infrastructure requirement was there, that all has been created with the help of Terraform. So you can navigate with that and you can check for that, correct? And in the similar way, we have covered functions, modules, policy creation, and then two of the questions related videos, correct? Terraform interview questions, part one and part two. So in this part two videos, I have covered all those kind of questions which are now being asked in the Terraform interview or your DevOps interview. Either you are appearing as a fresher or the experienced one, correct? If you have 4 to 5 years of experience or 7 to 8 years of experience and you are appearing for the interview, so which kind of questions can come for the Terraform, that we have covered in this question number part one and part two, correct? Today, rather than covering this 17 and other topics, I'll be covering few of the interview questions on the AWS Cloud, correct? So we are going with the Terraform. We have also gone through the AWS clouds. As you can see on my channel, there are a few videos related to AWS, correct? Why cloud, use of AWS EC2, Docker interview question, launch a public EC2, it was EC2 scaling, application load balancer, how to install Jenkins on Amazon, security group and NACL, and other like Terraform related videos, college related video. Everything is there related to your career and related to your technical stuffs, correct? That you can see. So today, rather than covering more on the Terraform, I will go with the AWS related interview questions. So that I have covered, and I have this on the my PDF, correct? So let's cover this. 10 to 12 questions on NACL, sorry, on AWS Cloud, correct? So I will just go with the questions. I have not written down any answers that you can prepare at on yourself. I will just give the answer how I used to give if if I am appearing as a interview, correct? If I am not the interviewer, if I am appearing as an interviewer, we used to ask as well and we used to answer both, correct? So you can prepare accordingly for yourself. So difference between NACL and security group, correct? You have to tell about the differences or you have to compare these two things. What is the NACL and the security group, correct? So NACL, like if you are aware of the cloud or if you are just beginner, so you should go with the concept first. But if you have already gone through that and you are now ready to answer these questions, so you should be aware that NACL applies on your subnet level, while security group applies on your server level. That is your EC2 instances, correct? So within the VPC, just suppose that there is one particular area for the VPC, correct? So if I take up the pen, sorry, it's the highlighted one. Let me select a pen here, underline, strike through, cursor. Okay, there is no option to pen, I think. Draw a line. Okay, I can use. So if this is the one area of the VPC, and within this VPC, there is a particular area. I just suppose that this particular VPC is divided in two subnets, correct? These are the two subnets, one and two. So within this subnet, if there is a particular EC2 instance launched here, correct? Just suppose that this is one EC2 instance, the a smaller block. So if any of the request comes from the browser, correct? Just suppose that this is one of the user. This is the user, and this user is making a request. So that request will come to the VPC. There, then from the VPC, it will come to the subnet levels, correct? So if this particular the whole area is VPC, so your request will come to the subnet level first, and once it reaches the subnet level, there will be NACL applied over this subnet only, correct? It will check for the request whether it's this particular request is allowed or not to get into the VPC or this particular area. If it allows, then your request will come to the EC2. That means on this particular smaller section, and this there will be security group before the EC2, correct? So there will be one more watchman or the guard kind of thing. You can say. So there is one watchman or guard kind of thing at subnet level. That is your networking part, and then there is a second watchman or the guard kind of thing on the server level. That is called as security group. So this is one of the point that NACL applies on subnet level while security group applies on your server level. That is the EC2 machines, correct? And the second thing is NACL is stateless. What does that mean? Well, whatever the traffic you have allowed, that should be explicitly mentioned that it should go outside of the VPC. Like one person has come from here with the name Ram. Just suppose the name of the person is Ram. So Ram is allowed to enter with the help of NACL, correct? Ram is allowed that Ram can come into this particular boundary, but Ram cannot go outside till the time you don't tell the watchman that this traffic can go outside as well. Just suppose that there is a one guard sitting over here, then there is a second guard sitting over here, correct? So there should be proper communication between these two, correct? Then that means whatever things has been allowed over here, that should be allowed over here as well. Or if it's denied over here, that means that particular request should be denied over here. That means that particular person cannot come within this, correct? Or cannot go outside, which is lying there. So whatever the rules you define for the initial at the beginning, that should be defined at the end as well. That is inbound and outbound rule. So it does not remember the state of any request, correct? That's why it is called as stateless. While the security group is your state full set. That means it whatever the traffic you allow, that is by default that is declared in the outbound. That means the any kind of traffic can go outside of that. So that is one of the questions. Let me use the eraser to delete this. Line stamp, trash, eraser. Okay, there, eraser was there. Okay, okay, no worries. Let's go to the second question. EC2 S3 access by IAM role. So what, how will you do this? So you will be creating one EC2 machine. Within this EC2 machine, there is an option of modify IAM role, correct? So you will create one IAM role. To that particular IAM role, you will attach few of the policies related to S3. Either you can give the S3 full access or based on requirement, whatever the things you want to allow, correct? You can give the full access or you can give the limited access so that only the objects can be accessed within the bucket, correct? So that policy you can attach to the role and that role you can attach to EC2 and then is with the help of AWS CLI commands, you can access the S3 buckets, correct? Then there is a third question related to your trust relationship and policy, correct? So for the trust relationship and policy, there is a one IAM role. Just suppose that there is a one IAM role created. So there is a one IAM role here. If I search for the AWS IAM, this thing session should be out. Okay, it has been signed out, correct? So I'm not going to log in right now, but trust relationship and policy. So any of the uh, click policy, it's simply whatever the permission you want to give, correct? So that you can define in the policy, it's in the JSON format. And trust relationship is something that a role can assume, like just suppose that there are two persons, correct? So just suppose that there are two persons. Let me go to the draw. There is a one person A here, correct? And then there is a second person, the B. So I'm giving the trust. This A is making this person B as a trustworthy person, that this person can come to his house and stay for one day, correct? Or any kind of action can he can the B person can perform in his house and he can go outside, correct? So that's the kind of trust assumption. So something should be declared over here, correct? Something should be declared over here so that this person B can come to the A and can perform the actions and then can go outside, correct? So that this there should be something defined, so that is called as a trust relationship. Just suppose that this is one IAM role, correct? This is one IAM role, the A is IAM role. So in the IAM role we will create one trust relationship and there we will mention that which other IAM role or other services can get into other services, and with the help of this access can trust that particular service, and it can perform the action, correct? So that's called a trust relationship. And the policy is simple, that whatever the kind of permissions you want to grant, that you can mention in your policy, correct? Either it's a AWS managed policy or the customer inline policy, you can create anyone, correct? Then the questions come as cross account S3 access. How will you do that? Have the cross account S3 access, you will create your bucket policy, you will create one IAM role, and you will attach that, correct? So in the S3 cross account S3 access, how will you do? So for that, you will mention that ARN of the other accounts IAM role in the bucket policy, and with the help of that, you can access the cross account buckets. Then there is a concept of VPC endpoint and API gateway, correct? So VPC endpoint, it is used for private resources to connect from each other. Like if you have to connect your EC2 with the S3, correct? There is a EC2 and then there is a S3. So to connect all these two, you will require the internet if you don't want to use the VPC endpoint, correct? So with the help of EC2 and internet gateway, you can connect to this S3 buckets. While with the help of VPC endpoint, you can optimize the cost and it saves you the maximum cost. So with the help of VPC endpoint, you can connect any of the resources to your other resources, and that will save your cost, correct? You don't need the net, you don't need any kind of internet gateway or something. Similar way, if you want to develop any of the REST APIs, get call or put call, with the help of this AWS API gateway, you can create API and you can make API calls with the help of this service. So for that, it is used this API gateway, and the backend services for API gateways, Event Bridge, your DynamoDB and Lambda function. These are the kind of backend services for the API gateway, correct? Now, the sixth question is, how will EC2 connect S3 without internet? The simple answer, just like the fifth one, with the help of VPC endpoint, correct? So with the help of VPC endpoint, there will be like within this VPC, there is a EC2 block, correct? So this there will be endpoint over here that you will create for the S3 connection. You will create the endpoint as a type of gateway. So there are two type of VPC endpoint. One is called as interface, and the second one is called as gateway. So to connect your S3, we will use the gateway kind of interface, and with the help of this VPC endpoint, it will transfer your request to the S3, correct? So that is the way of connecting your EC2 to S3 without internet. How to handle secret? So you can you can store your secrets in AWS Secret Manager, and to have the security kind of thing, you can implement Lambda as well to rotate the security credentials based on certain intervals. So after 30 days or 60 days, correct? Then there are what are the types of storage account in AWS S3? So talking about the types of the storage, there are S3 buckets, and within the S3 buckets, there are multiple types of storage like S3 Glacier, S3 Standard, S3 Infrequent Access. If you want to check more on that, you can check out my videos on that, and you can find out the details related to that, correct? So I have created already the S3 related video as well. AWS Route 53, how to access a specific S3 bucket. So there are topics, correct? I have already created. So you can check on that, and that will give you the best answer. In general, there are a standard IA like infrequent access, a standard outpost. So those are the details, correct? Then ninth which, are you familiar with lifecycle management in S3 buckets? S3 bucket lifecycle management is used for transferring your objects from one storage accounts to different storage account. Like earlier, you have kept your all the objects in a standard, correct? And to save the cost, or if you see that this data is not being utilized or it will not be utilized for next 1 year or 6 months, so that data you can move from the S3 standard to Glacier, correct? Or in the deep archive, it will be stored there. You will have to pay very less cost comparatively to a standard, correct? So for that, we use the lifecycle management tools. There we create that whenever my data will be more than 1 month old, it will be moved to the Glacier one, correct? Or the 6 month old, the data will move to this Glacier one. So that's called as lifecycle management. Then what are the difference between load balancer and why do we need them usually to need? So There are multiple load balancer, application load balancer and network load balancer basically. The use case of application load balancer and the network load balancer, we can see here AWS LV I have already created. But talking about the questions and the answer, there are two types of load balancer: application load balancer and network load balancer. Network load balancer is used there whenever you need a high performance of network, correct? You are creating a satellite related services or real data streaming like election events, correct? So you don't want network latency or real-time data processing. So for that, you can create network load balancer. But if you have to deploy one application, which should be optimized, but there is no issue with the latency, correct? So for that, you can use the application load balancer. And talking about the multiple differences or the comparison part, ALB runs on the application layer, that is application seventh layer in the OSI model, while network load balancer runs on third and fourth, that is transport and network layer. And similarly, application load balancer can be used for your path-based routing. Network load balancer can be used for the different purpose. So there are multiple comparison. You check on that on the video. Correct. So that's it. We will be restricting ourselves to on 10th questions only, and we will be talking on more questions in coming videos. So we will go through all the other questions on the different technology as well, with the help on the scripting, on the gate, on the scenario based questions. Correct. I have all those and a few of the scriptings as well. So we will be talking more about this. So for now, we will be just wrapping up the video, and we will talk more on the next video. So thank you for watching the video. Stay connected and stay tuned for upcoming videos. Thank you. Thank you so much.